Hello, my name is Joanne Seward and I'm the Technical Services Librarian at the Oak Creek Public Library. Thank you for viewing this video, Cutting the Cord, How to Get Rid of Cable. It is predicted that about 55.1% of all Americans will have dropped cable or satellite TV subscriptions by 2022. Most of you are probably watching this video because you don't want to pay such a large bill for cable TV, or you don't want to pay for shows/channels that you don't want, which is perfectly understandable. So you are not in the minority. There are lots of people who are getting disillusioned with cable and want to find a different alternative. So what we're going to be covering today, so we're going to be talking about Wi-Fi, streaming devices. We're going to be talking about research, because that's a big key element of this. And then we're going to be talking about different streaming services available. I'll be showing you kind of a few of them just to give you an idea of what they look like. What we won't be covering are DVRs, i.e. digital video recorders in this class. There's just too much additional content to try and cover this subject as well. So I would recommend going online and trying to look up a couple of sources if you're interested in DVR and what that can provide for you. So some key concepts to keep in mind before starting. The idea of cutting the cord is not really true. So no matter what route you take, you're never fully cutting the cord, aka you always are going to need internet, always. And you'll probably need phone service as well, whether that be through your normal provider or you have a cell phone, whatever way that you want to go about it. So you're never really fully cutting the cord. The goal is to create a plan that cuts out content that you don't care about. So that's kind of what the issue is with cable right now, is that it seems like you're paying for a lot of things that you don't necessarily want. And every single thing costs something. So you want to focus on paying for content that you actually want. Initial startup fee as well as monthly fees can make the whole process more expensive than originally realized. I think that a lot of people don't actually fully understand that because you think that, oh, if I'm not paying for cable, then it should be cheaper. Well, you're still paying for the internet. You're still paying for a monthly subscription fee to whatever streaming service. And most people don't just have one streaming service, like you don't just have Hulu or you don't just have Netflix, but you have Hulu and Netflix or Amazon Prime and Sling TV or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So at times that can be more expensive than even having just traditional cable. There is no one size fits all solution. Every single person will be different. So some people are going to have Hulu and Netflix and that's fine. Some people have the basic plans of those and they're fine. Some people want the, fancy ones with all the bells and whistles. So no ads, live TV. It just completely depends on what you want. So you can kind of cater it a little bit more to yourself, which is kind of nice compared to just traditional cable. Okay, so let's talk about Wi-Fi first. So speeds as far as Mbps, so it's megabytes per second. So if you're going to be getting rid of cable, the very first thing that you need to consider is Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi speed needs to be at a speed that's high enough to be able to handle live streaming services. Otherwise, it's going to take a very long time to buffer or load. And that's when you might see like a little circle that kind of goes round and round and round and round. That's when something is buffering. So you don't want to have that while you're in the middle of like watching a movie or, et cetera. So when you keep in mind what Wi-Fi speed you need, think of the number of devices that you're using at one time. So is it just you in the house? Is it you and a spouse? Are your grandchildren coming over or children? So you got to keep in mind the number of devices that people are going to be using at one time because that takes up more speed. 25 megabits per second is the minimum recommended for best quality. However, most internet providers now are doing more than that, just as kind of a baseline. So I would say 40 to 60 is usually a pretty good speed, and you shouldn't really have too many problems unless you have a ton of people trying to use your Wi-Fi at one time in your house. So when you look online, it'll say that streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, et cetera, that they require 25 megabits per second minimum. But like I said, most people really do go for faster than that. So if you want to test your speed, this website right here, this www.speedtestnet.net is a really good website to use. And I would recommend doing it at kind of like a prime time. So maybe at like 6 or 7 p.m. So, maybe before or after dinner, somewhere in there where most people are going to be watching TV. I would try the speed test and kind of see where you fall in with, your current internet service. Some costs, keep in mind bundles. So, are you going to go with just internet? Do you want internet and phone? Keep in mind those different kinds of things because sometimes the bundles are more cheaper, and sometimes they're not. They're actually more expensive. A lot of things that I think people don't really realize is usually the upfront fee is definitely way different than what it's going to be after a period of time. So typically most places do a set fee for a year, and then after that they up it considerably. So make sure that whenever you are doing a plan that you keep that in advance if it's going to be more expensive down the road, because a lot of them will be. So you want to research different internet service providers. So that's the ISPs right there. One website that you can use to kind of compare the different plans is this whistleout.com/internet. So if I click here and let's go to this website. And as it says, we can compare different plans. So I'm going to type in, let's do the address for the library just to give it an idea. Oops. Help if I type in that right. Here we go. And if I just hit search, see what it comes up with. And let's scroll down a little bit. And then here are some of the information. So here's even 400 megabits per second. That seems a little excessive. We're just going to ignore that. So we have the 100 megabits per second. That's kind of a more reasonable rate, and it's a little bit cheaper. So, and then keep in mind, see like this for 12 months, then it goes to $55. And there's $100 upfront fee. So, you want to keep in those, keep in mind the speeds, keep in mind the price, and then what it's going to advance to. You want to keep all those different kinds of things in mind. And you can change, like if you want, you can sort it by price. You can change, different providers. Like if you just want to see what Spectrum has. There we go. So then you can just see what Spectrum is just, compared by itself. So you can totally look at, I would definitely recommend looking at all of these different plans and kind of trying to see what you think is going to be your best bet. See, like here's 400 megabits per second plus the phone. Okay, cool. So once again, just kind of look at these different, this different information. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presentation. Here we go. And then the last thing with Wi-Fi that you might want to keep in mind is that you might need some additional tech. So for example, a modem, that just depends if your internet service provider doesn't provide you with one or not, or if you have one that's not that great and you want to, do your own. Keep in mind though, some internet service providers won't allow you to use your own modem. So I'm pretty sure Spectrum has gone that way now. You have to use their modem. Some of the modems have wireless routers in there, and some of them you need a separate wireless router. So just kind of keep those things in mind that you might need to buy those initially. So that's what I was talking about. There's kind of this initial startup price that people kind of don't really keep in mind. So, all right, so that's the Wi-Fi. So now we're going to talk about antennas and smart TVs. So if you want to be able to stream on your regular TV, you will need to use a streaming device or have a smart TV. So most streaming devices require an HDMI or USB port, so be sure to check that your TV has one built in before you decide to purchase anything. Usually it's going to be on the back of your TV. You can also plug in your laptop to your TV via HDMI cable rather than having to purchase an additional streaming device, but that's kind of annoying because anytime that you need your laptop, you have to unplug it to use it yourself and then plug it back in order to stream things. Blech, I wouldn't even worry about it. I wouldn't go that route. So an antenna is something that, once again, I don't think that a lot of people think about. Sometimes the newer TVs might have an antenna built in. That's something that you just want to look into when if you're going to be like buying a new TV, keep those things in mind. So you might need to buy a separate antenna like this one over here, and they can range really, really greatly. So they're considered like non-amplified antennas or amplified antennas. And then there's even outdoor antennas. It just depends on kind of where you're located. So if you live in a very rural area, then you're probably going to want an outdoor antenna because you're not close to anything that's giving off a signal. If you're living in the middle of the city, then you don't really need to worry about it that much. So I would say usually even like a $30 one, it would probably be fine if you live in the city. You don't need to go for the most cheap, and you definitely don't need to go for the most expensive. But you do need an antenna because this is how you're going to be able to access local broadcast TV stations. So for us, that would be ABC 12, CBS 58, Fox 6, NBC 4, PBS 10 and 36, and more. So if you want to be able to access those kind of basic broadcast TV stations, then you definitely want to have an antenna in addition to whatever streaming service or streaming devices that you're going to be using. So speaking of streaming devices, so smart TVs is really the route that I would go. So rather than having to buy an additional streaming device, it's just easier to have the smart TV. So your smart TV is basically like your phone, where you can access all of these things, the internet, and you can access all of these different streaming services, Netflix, Prime, YouTube, all of this kind of stuff through your actual TV. And if you were planning on upgrading your TV, then great, this works out better anyways. So there's a huge price discrepancy for TVs though. They can be $120 to over $800. They have the 4 HD and all this kind of stuff. I don't think you need to go that crazy yet. My husband and I went to Sam's Club and we bought one that was like $250, $300, and it works fine. We have no issues with it whatsoever. So just kind of keep in mind, look at those different locations for TVs and kind of compare before you make an ultimate decision. If you're not doing a smart TV, then you need a streaming device. So there's kind of 4 main streaming devices. We have the Roku, the Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and the Google Chromecast. And they can range in price as well, but they're all usually kind of, mid-range, except for the Apple TV, as you can see, is definitely more expensive. So keep in mind before you actually purchase a streaming device, if you're going to go this route, that there are quite a few streaming services that offer bundle deals where you can get, if you purchase their packages, then you can get these streaming devices for free. So for example, Hulu might be offering something now where if you purchase a package from Hulu for the first time, then you get a free Amazon Fire. I don't know if that's really what it is right now, but that's the idea. So all of these can stream the different apps like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Sling TV, all the kind of key ones. I've used Roku myself before, and it's kind of nice that you can do kind of a general search with the Roku, and it will show you what streaming services have those, what you're searching for. So like if you search for a specific TV show, The Handmaid's Tale, I don't know, it's the first thing that comes to mind, then it would tell you, oh, that's available on Hulu. And then if you have the Hulu app, then you could, go to it through there. So it's kind of, I like the Roku in that way. Amazon Fire is nice if you use Amazon Prime a lot, like if you watch TV shows or purchase digital movies, anything that's kind of focused on the Prime accounts, this is going to work the best with because that's their branded thing. Apple TV has the bonus of being able to access iTunes. So if you have iTunes and you have music already saved there to your personal library, then you can access it directly through the Apple TV and have it stream like through your phone, stream through your TV. And it's just kind of a nice little perk. And then Google Chromecast is probably, I would consider that the least common option because what it does is it works completely through your phone. So it basically streams your phone onto your TV. So that's the cast part of it. So it's casting your phone onto the TV so you can just see it there. So if you have Google Home, though, it connects really well through the Chromecast. So it just kind of depends on what your preference is, really. All right. Other ways that you can stream things are using gaming systems and Blu-ray players. So for gaming systems, most gaming systems nowadays are practically computers themselves. So you can play video games on them, but you can also stream and play, digital games. You can stream videos, music, tons of different things. But gaming systems are probably more expensive. So unless you wanted to actually use that to play games, I wouldn't recommend, getting an Xbox One as your streaming device. That would be excessive. And then the other option we have is a Blu-ray player. So the only thing to keep in mind with Blu-ray players is that Samsung is no longer actually making Blu-ray players. And so a lot of people are seeing that as kind of the end of Blu-rays. So there was kind of this big push for Blu-rays and, everybody should have everything Blu-ray, and then it kind of weaned and kind of went off in popularity. So you may not want to necessarily go the Blu-ray player route as well. Once again, it's just another option for you to kind of keep in mind. All right, so you definitely have to do some research before you just purchase something. So if you're, buying a TV, if you're buying a streaming device, if you are buying a streaming service plan like Netflix or Hulu or etc., no matter what, you need to do some research before you actually purchase anything. What do you want and what do you really want to pay for? That's really what it comes down to. If the whole reason that you're watching this video right now is that you want to pay less money, well, then you need to do some research and really keep in mind, if I get just Netflix, can I really watch everything that I want to watch on TV? You have to really research into it before you start just, pulling the trigger on everything, so to speak. There obviously are free trial versions that you can do of things. So like Netflix, every single one of them have free trial versions. Just be careful, look at the dotted red line, so to speak. You don't want to be paying for something and then, put your credit card information in and then all of a sudden you're paying for something and you didn't even really want it. So just keep those kinds of things in mind. So if it's only good for 60 days, make sure and you don't want it anymore, make sure you cancel before that 60 days is up, etc. Okay. So a website that is really good as far as research and as far as streaming devices and or streaming services and trying to figure out what you want is this Untitled.tv. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this website to give you an idea of what it looks like. All right, so it kind of gives you a little information about what we're talking about right here. So let's go ahead and get started. So as it says, our cord cutting wizard, it's going to be taking some information. So let's put in our zip code. Let's say I pay $150 for my monthly TV bill right now. I don't know. And it's asking me, do I have any of the streaming services? Let's say, yes, I have Netflix. There's Netflix right there. And do I have any devices? Let's say that, yes, I have an Amazon Fire TV, let's say. And do I have an over-the-air antenna? Yes, we'll say I already have one of those too. So you want to just select whatever you have or don't have. And we're going to go next. And now just kind of some basic questions like how tech savvy are you? Let's say we're somewhat. Do I want to be budget conscious or do I want more features or am I flexible? Let's go with flexible. This is important, this how do you watch TV shows, because a lot of people are, if you're used to the cable experience, then you're a as they air person. But myself, I've gotten so used to, I haven't really watched regular TV in years and years. So I'm more of an on-demand person. So I would want to make sure that this is selected. But let's say I'm right in between, just for giggles. Okay, so now we need to pick our shows. So this is where actually watching TV for a week and really writing down, like, what do I watch the most? What is it that I can't live without? Okay, I can't live without Game of Thrones. You have to see it, or something is gonna go crazy. Or let's say I really have to watch Modern Family. You can also do a search for shows. Let's say my favorite show right now is Bob's Burgers. Oh, come on. Well, that's weird. Well, that is very odd. Normally, it's very good about finding stuff. Let's try to Handmaid's Tale. Very odd. All right, let's see if we can find it in this list. I think it's just having a moment right now. If that happens again, just refresh the page and I'm sure that it'll be fine. So you would want to select the shows, whatever that you can find in here, select those shows. You want to select the channels that you typically watch. Like, let's say I watch History Channel and HBO a lot. We'll do those. And then sports, if there's any specific sorts that you like to watch. Let's say I'm really into Sunday Night Football. Okay. So once you have as many selected as you can think of, then you want to go to this next step. It's asking, do I watch any of the following: local news and weather? We could say yes. All right, and it's going to be thinking about it for a little bit. All right. So it's saying I need this HD TV antenna. And streaming services, I need HBO Now and Philo if I want to. So Philo is specifically for the History Channel right there. So it tells me like HBO Now because I like HBO and I like Game of Thrones. There we go. And then here is the streaming device that I already said that I have, the Amazon Fire. All right, so that's how it knows. So like Modern Family and Sunday Night Football, I can watch on these general broadcast TV stations using an antenna. So I would definitely recommend looking through, doing this kind of research using the untangled.tv. I don't know why it was acting a little bit weird, not finding those specific TV shows, but usually this is the first time I've ever had an issue with it. So we'll just say that was a fluke. Okay. So some streaming services, general facts. So huge shock, all of them have monthly or yearly fees, but there's no contracts, as opposed to cable TV. That was kind of a big bummer with cable TV, is that a lot of them have contracts. And if you break that contract, you have to pay an additional fee. So that's a bummer. Keep in mind though, that prices are always going to change, always. Until, every time that I think, Netflix is going to be the same, it starts to change again. So, it might start out as $7.99 and then it becomes $8.99 and then $10.99. And, so it's just, you got to keep those kind of things in mind, that the prices will inflate as time goes on. It's just the nature of the beast. Some will include commercials depending on the plan you purchase, others won't. There are two main types of streaming services. There's on-demand streaming. So, you know, if I want to watch all of the TV episodes from season 1 of Game of Thrones, that's on-demand streaming because I can go and I can watch it instantly. So I can binge it and watch all of it at one time. And then on the flip side of that, we have the live streaming TV. So that's more the traditional cable TV, you know, idea. So you can watch TV shows in the moment that they are aired, aka in real time. So depending on what you prefer, that's what you want to keep in mind, these different options available. Right? All right, so let's do a quick, not quick exactly, but let's do a demonstration. So I'm going to show you some different streaming services and just give you kind of a rough idea of what they look like. Okay, so let's start the demonstration with Netflix. So here's the only thing that's kind of weird about these demonstrations that I'm showing you. I don't want you to think that this is exactly the way that the interface is going to look. Because depending on what you're viewing the actual streaming service on, it could be different. So I'm showing it to you while looking at a laptop. If you are looking at it on a smart TV, on your phone, on a streaming device, and any different streaming device, so like the Amazon Fire or the Apple TV or, you know, anything like that, all of them are going to look slightly different. So just keep that kind of in mind. Okay, so here with Netflix, usually it has the continue watching. Most of the streaming services have that, which is kind of nice. So you can see the last thing that I was watching was The Walking Dead. I know, very uplifting. It'll show you, you can keep a list of things that you like. So you can save those things so that you can very easily come back to them. And then usually it has things that are popular. So we have, you know, in this case, Stargate, I guess, is very popular right now. Things that are trending. And then they have other kind of different categories of things that you can watch. So if any of these interest you, you can just click on them and it will take you to the actual series. All right. All right, and there you go. So it has the usual play and stop, you know, buttons. You can fast forward it, you can adjust the volume, you know, all those kind of standard things. If you want to change to a different season or a different episode, it has that available down here. So you can see that there's 4 seasons of The Good Place, and you can skip to any of the seasons that you know, any episodes that you want right there. All right, so I'm going to go back. Let me show you my list right here. So these are things that I've saved because either I want to watch them over again, or maybe they're just continuing seasons that haven't come out yet, but I just want them out there as a reminder to come back to them. So here are all the different ones, and then I can just, you know, select them. Let's say I wanted Stranger Things. And I can choose, here's the different episodes that I can choose from. So I go to the 3rd season. And let's try that again. And there we go. You get the general idea. I won't ruin anything for anybody by playing more of it. And I don't want to get sued. So, all right. So Netflix is nice because you can do searching. So like up here at the very top, there's a little search. All of them have search options. Some of them are better than others. It just depends. So let's say I'm looking for Game of Thrones. See what pops up. Okay, so the fact that Game of Thrones didn't pop up right here basically means that they don't have Game of Thrones, which, okay, fine. Not every single TV series is going to be available on every single streaming service. That would be too easy. But what I do like is that it gives you similar titles. So in this case, The Witcher, I guess, is the first one that they would recommend that's closest to Game of Thrones. And they have The Last Kingdom and Reign and so on and so forth. So it's giving you kind of additional alternatives to Game of Thrones. Like here's Outlander right there, okay? So this is kind of just a basic idea of what Netflix looks like. Okay, so here is Amazon Prime Video. So the nice thing about Amazon Prime, if you sign up for the video, if you do the whole Amazon Prime package, then you get the free shipping as well as other benefits. So that's kind of sweet, not gonna lie. So here we have our, so watch next, just like with Netflix. So I was just watching the Grand Tour on here. Let's see. And then they have other categories like originals, movies that they think I'm going to like based off of other things that I've watched, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure that you keep in mind anything that has this little Prime, because that's how Amazon kind of gets you. If it doesn't have the Prime, like notice how this one has a little dollar bill symbol, that means that you have to either rent or buy it, aka you have to pay money. So that is the one downside to Prime, is that their offerings for what's available for free, basically, with your Prime membership isn't quite as robust as other places. But the nice thing is, if you are renting something, usually it's not too expensive. See, like this one is rent. You can rent it for $3.99. And I think you get it for like 48 hours, maybe you have to watch it. Or you can buy it for $13.99, and then you have a digital version of it that you can watch at any time. So let me go ahead. Let's say I want to watch the Grand Tour. Let's go back up. Where was it? Right there. Click on there. And let's say I want to do season 1. And let me just start from the very beginning. And that's that. So it has, once again, has the usual. It has the play and the pause. You can fast forward or rewind through it. You can skip to the next, different episodes. So it has all the same kind of functionality as you would normally see. You can go to, related things to this. They all made their own little spin-off shows and everything that you can do. The nice thing about Amazon is you can do a search. So for Prime Video, like let's say that I wanted to watch Dante's Peak. I don't know. All right, so here it is. If I click on there. So once again, keep in mind though, the watching options. So the fact that it doesn't say watch now or just watch, then this is not free. Once again, we have the rent, we have the buy option. So you want to keep those kinds of things in mind when you're definitely looking at different TV and movies in particular. Here are some kind of related things that maybe you would like, or I would like. We can also see my stuff should be where all of my different things that I have added as, things that I want to watch. So we have like The Tick is in here, is one that my husband and I are really into, and Doctor Who. So we watch all these kind of things like The Boys, is an Amazon original. A Massive Hunt, which is the Grand Tour, that's another Amazon original. So we have Prime just for these kind of original content. And you'll see as time goes on, more and more streaming services are going to be doing that. So Netflix has a ton of original content, Hulu has a ton of original content, Amazon is getting there. all of these places are realizing that if they have original content, that means that somebody is going to have to pay for their services in order to see it. So you'll start to see that as time goes on. So I have a watch list of things that I want to, watch again, or, wait until they get a new season and watch it. And then I also have the purchases and rentals. So that's things that I have rented or purchased off of Amazon Prime in the past. So in this case, I did the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. And then I purchased one of the Doctor Who episodes because I couldn't wait for it. And then I also have movies that I've purchased. So you can check out all of your purchases and rentals and things that you've saved in your My Stuff category, basically. Okay. Okay, so here is Hulu. So Hulu, once again, kind of the same idea where it's things that you've been watching before or the keep watching. They have suggestions specifically for you, and then they have other categories of things. And then they have kind of not like ads exactly, but things that are, really popular, the ones that are kind of going to pop up right here. Okay. So let's say I've been watching the Titan games. Let's say that I want to get back into that. So I can just click on the play right away and it'll take me straight into it. All right, you get the idea. Once again, all the play, fast forward, rewind, all of those options are on here. I have the closed captions on here for some reason. I must have done it at one point. So you can change, and if you don't want the, subtitles, you can do off and then it'll get rid of them. Pretty much all of them will have that functionality, which is nice. All right, so I'm going to close out of this and go back to my main screen right here. If I go to My Stuff, it'll show me anything that I've saved. So like the Titan games, Ellen's Game of Games, here's Ninja Warrior. I just recently added Freaks and Geeks right there. What's kind of nice about Hulu is you see how it has this 18 unwatched because I haven't started watching any of these. Or Ellen's Game of Games, I have one unwatched. I've watched all of them, but there's one new one that I've missed. So it's kind of nice that they do that as well. So it's just showing you those right there. If I click on the title of it, it'll take me to the actual page where I can change what like season or what episode that I want to watch specifically. So then I can select it from there. All right, and then I can do a search in here. Let's do Game of Thrones. Okay, so notice though this for Game of Thrones, it says watch with HBO Max add-on, aka I would have to pay a subscription fee, a higher subscription fee in order to get HBO Max, which I don't personally have at this exact moment. So keep in mind that there may be some things that you need to pay for or have a different subscription for in order to be able to access it. Let's say I just wanted the Nightingale, there we go. And then once again, they do things that are similar that I may also kind of like in here. So, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Otherwise, Hulu is, like I said, very similar to all the rest of them, really. Okay, so the last streaming service that I'm going to show you today is Sling TV. So Sling is a bit different from the other ones that I showed you. The other ones, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, are all on demand, really. Although Hulu does have the live TV version if you pay for the higher subscription, but it's not something that I pay for, so that's why I didn't have access to it. But Sling TV is more of the live streaming option, so closer to what you would consider normal cable to be. So at the top, just kind of like the other streaming services, it has your channels as things that you've saved so that you're, really, TLC is something that I really like, E! Entertainment, etc. But they have things that are recommended for me, things that I have recorded because I pay for the additional DVR. If I want to continue watching something, so let's say I was starting to watch the Guys Grocery Games, the specific episode, season 21, episode 1, I can hit play and it'll start. There we go. All right, it has the normal pause, play, the fast forward. Keep in mind though, if you are watching something that is live TV, you may or may not be able to fast forward it. There may be commercials as well. It just kind of depends on the channel specifically that you're watching and what show specifically sometimes even. So keep in mind, sometimes you may not be able to fast forward and sometimes you may be able to. So let's go back. They have different like trending things, you know, favorites that we might have, you know, hit movies even. So it's not, Sling is not just TV, there's movies as well on here, okay? So if I go up to the top, I have the guide. So the guide is very handy. This is once again what you would consider more traditional as far as TV viewing, because it shows you the different channels over here on the left-hand side. And then it shows us the times and what's playing right now. So let's say if I scroll down and we have, what do I want to watch right now? That's always the question. Let's say we wanted to do Card Sharks. So we're going to click on Card Sharks and then we can do this watch live. You can also record something depending on if you have the DVR option. So we're going to go ahead and click on watch live. And you can see, there we go. We're already 6 minutes in because we're watching live. So just as if we turned on our regular TV and then started watching it. Okay. And there's the record option right there. The fast forward and rewind, which, you know, once again, may or may not work depending on what the channel and the station is specifically. All right, so we're going to hit pause and we're going to go back. But so this guide is very nice to give you an idea of what's actually playing on the different channels that you have available to you. You can also go specifically by just channel and it'll show you what's playing in the time. So let's say I was looking at Shout TV and right now it's playing Rancho Grande at 4 p.m. It's going to do Ride, Tenderfoot Ride, and so on and so on and so forth. So it gives me an idea and then I can be like, oh yeah, I want to watch this at 7:07, The Phantom Empire or whatever it is. All right, there's sports on here as well. So different sports channels that you can watch, like the NBA basketball or college basketball. So you can definitely watch games on here if you so choose. And then they also have on-demand things. So these are things that you can watch multiple seasons of and episodes of at a time. So they definitely have those options as well. So if you want to watch Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and you want to be able to watch, you know, all of season 1. So there's 10 different episodes available that they have that you can watch. So that's totally up to you. Okay. You can do a search just like in any other thing. So let's say I was looking for Real Housewives. All right, so here's the Real Housewives of the. Who knew that there were so many different Real Housewives? There you go, tons, tons of different spinoffs. So you would just go on to whichever one that you're interested in, and then you can choose whatever season, you know, that they have available, and then watch whatever episode in that season. Okay. All right, so that's Sling TV. Okay, so let's talk about some other streaming services that are available. So there's DirecTV. So I have listed there the cost per month, which can range. It can show, you can have up to 5 devices streaming at one time. I have the pros listed right there and then the cons as well. So I'll give you a second to look that over. There's YouTube TV. So the cost for that right now is $65 per month. And once again, right now, meaning anytime these prices can change. You can do up to 3 devices at a time. And once again, there's the pros and cons right there for you. Disney Plus is one of the, big ones right now, obviously. So you can do $7.99 per month or $79.99 per year. So just kind of like Amazon Prime, where it has either the monthly fee, which is a little bit more expensive, or if you can afford to do a yearly fee, then it's going to be a little bit cheaper on the back end. And it can do up to 4 devices at one time. So Disney Plus, like I said, is definitely a big popular one right now. We have the pros and cons listed right there for you. All right, another one is Fubo. If you want to, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. So that can range between $64.99 per month or to $79.99 per month. And you can do up to 3 or 5 devices, depending on which plan that you actually purchase. And we have the pros and cons for both of those, or for the Fubo, sorry. There's Philo TV, and the cost is about $20 per month. It's one of the cheaper ones. And you can do up to 3 devices at a time watching. And the pros and cons. And then lastly, there's Crackle. I put on Crackle. It's not like the most popular thing in the world, but the big advantage that it has is it's free. See, I put free in big capital letters. It's one of the only free ones that I really know about. And you can have unlimited streaming. So, 1,500 people could be watching it at one time, whatever. So Crackle is kind of, like I said, not the most popular because of some of those cons that I mentioned at the bottom right there. But it is kind of just another additional option for you guys to keep in mind. All right, and then lastly, if you can't find it, or let's say you sign up for something and like Netflix, and it has all of your favorite TV shows except for one. It's missing one TV series. So that would be a great time to look for it in the library. So you can go to like County Cat right here. I have it listed. Here's the website. So if you go to countycat.mcflis.org, then you can search. We have lots of different TV shows available, lots and lots on DVD. And then if you want to do streaming services as well, we have the Hoopla app, which I would definitely recommend. So Hoopla has some TV shows on there. They have lots of movies. You can only actually watch a limited amount of, or stream a limited amount of things on Hoopla per month. I think right now it's set to 4 maybe. So you can, watch 4 movies a month, for example, but it's free. How can you beat that? Right? So those are some additional ideas that, a lot of people, I don't think, keep in mind, is utilize the library and what we have available for you to use. So I hope that you learned a couple additional things that you didn't know before about cutting the cord. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at library@oakcreekwi.org. And I hope that you have a great rest of the day. Bye.